Most property investors are trained to look for value in bricks. A bigger extension, a better refurb, more bedrooms, more rent, a higher resale value. But sometimes the biggest value is not created by building more. Sometimes the value is trapped inside the title structure. One property, one title, one valuation, one exit. But what if that same property could become separate value? What if a large house could become separate flats? What if a side garden could become a separate plot? What if a mixed-use building could have cleaner ownership, cleaner leases, and cleaner exit routes? That is where title splitting becomes powerful. When people look at a property, they often see the physical space: a big garden, a side plot, a house arranged as flats, a building with separate entrances, a commercial unit with residential space above. They think there must be value here. And sometimes there is. But title splitting is not just about space. It is about structure. Does the property type support a split? How many units are involved? Are there separate entrances? Can the services be separated? Is the lease structure clear? What is the ownership type? What is the current value? And if the split is completed, what could the uplift be? These are the questions that decide whether the opportunity is real. Title splitting is the process of separating one registered title into two or more separate interests. Title splitting is not just legal admin at the end, it is a value strategy that needs to be understood at the beginning. If the ownership type is not understood, the wrong advice can send the project in the wrong direction. So before asking, "Can I split this?" the better question is, does this split make sense physically, legally, financially, and commercially? That is the question the Title Split Feasibility tool is designed to help you answer. The Title Split Feasibility tool was built to give property entrepreneurs a structured first check. It is not there to promise that every property can be split, it is there to stop you guessing. The tool asks 7 key questions about the property. It looks at property type, number of units, separate entrances, separate services, lease structure, ownership type, current value. From those answers, the tool produces a title split viability report. That report gives you 3 important outputs. First, a 5-criteria viability assessment. Second, an estimated value uplift from splitting. Third, clear action steps for what to check next. So instead of saying, "I think this property might split," you can start with a structured view. Let us look at a simple case study. Imagine a large Victorian house. From the outside, it looks like one property, one freehold, one valuation, one exit. But inside, the building is already arranged as 3 self-contained flats. Each flat has its own living space. Each flat has its own kitchen and bathroom. There is a shared hallway. The entrances are workable. The services are mostly separate. But legally, the property is still held as one title. To a normal buyer, this may look like one investment property, but to a property entrepreneur, the question is different. Could the flats be structured separately? Could the lease position be cleaned up? Could the units become independently saleable or refinanceable? Would the separate values be higher than the single title value? Now imagine the building is worth £600,000 as one title. But if each flat could be valued separately at £230,000, the total separate value becomes £690,000. That creates a possible £90,000 uplift, not from adding another floor, not from building a new extension, not from changing the whole building, but from understanding whether the structure can release separate value. For active property entrepreneurs, title splitting is not just an abstract legal idea. It affects real decisions. What you buy, what you offer, what you build, what you sell, what you refinance, how you structure the asset, how you release value. A property may look average as one title, but as separate parts, it may tell a different story. A flat may be worth more separately than as part of one block. A side plot may hold more value separately than as a garden. A mixed-use building may become more financeable, saleable, or manageable when its structure is clearer, but only if the route works. That is why the first filter matters. This is where PCMA supports the process. PCMA is not about giving you random property theory. It is about helping you understand the opportunity before you move into execution. The masterclass explains the strategy. The title split feasibility tool gives you the first filter. The wider PCMA framework helps you think through planning, layout, title structure, value, risk, and exit with more clarity. It combines the strategy, tools, and professional support needed to assess and pursue development opportunities properly. So, when you speak to professionals, you are not starting from confusion. You are starting from a clearer question. That is the difference. Better questions create better briefs. Better briefs create better advice. And better advice helps you avoid expensive assumptions. So, if you are looking at a property with a large garden, side land, multiple units, separate entrances, mixed use, or possible hidden value, do not start with guesswork. Start with the root. Use the title split feasibility tool. Answer the 7 questions. Review the title split viability report. Check the estimated value uplift. Read the action steps. Then decide whether the opportunity is worth taking further. And if you're an active entrepreneur ready to scale with professional support, apply for PCMA-ELITE. We only work with a limited number of partners because proper development support requires focus. Read the details and submit your application.